July 29th, 1981. It's a date that's become a landmark in modern history. On that summer day in London, an audience of 750 million people around the world was glued to their TVs, ready to watch the wedding of the century. Lady Diana Spencer, a shy 20-year-old nursery assistant, was about to marry Prince Charles, the future King of England. With the ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral, the 600,000 people lining the streets, and that stunning glass coach, it all looked like it was torn from the pages of a storybook. The narrative we all remember is one of pure romance and picture-perfect moments, ending with that iconic kiss on the Buckingham Palace balcony. It was a day carefully crafted to inspire a nation and sell the world on a flawless, fairy tale love. But behind all the pageantry and far away from the prying eyes of the cameras, the day was anything but perfect. It was actually filled with shocking secrets, deep personal heartbreak, and a whole series of mishaps that were kept under wraps for years. That fairy tale image was really just a fragile mask, hiding a much more complicated and human drama. From a crushing discovery just before the ceremony to wardrobe disasters and even mistakes at the altar, the real story of Diana's wedding is so much more compelling than the polished version we were all sold. Today, we're peeking behind the curtain to reveal the moments the palace never wanted you to know about. These are the biggest secrets of Princess Diana's royal wedding day. The idea of a perfect union started to crumble long before the wedding march even began. The pressure on the young Diana was just immense, and the weeks leading up to the big day were filled with anxiety. But the biggest crisis of all, one that nearly stopped the wedding from happening, came just before she was supposed to walk down the aisle. The darkest secret was hidden inside a small, ordinary-looking jewelry box. Diana was in the office of Prince Charles's private secretary, Michael Colborne, when she found a package. She insisted on opening it, and inside, her worst fears came true. It was a gold bracelet, engraved with the initials G and F. Diana knew immediately who they stood for: Gladys and Fred, the secret pet names Charles and his old flame, Camilla Parker Bowles, had for each other. In her own recorded tapes years later, Diana called the moment devastating. "I was devastated," she said, "and I said, well, he's going to give it to her tonight." She confronted Charles, but he brushed it off, saying it was just a farewell gift for a close friend. That explanation did nothing to calm the rage she felt. It was a gut-wrenching sign that Camilla wasn't just part of Charles's past, but a very real part of his present. According to Diana's astrologer, Penny Thornton, the night before the wedding was even worse. Thornton claims Charles told his future bride that he didn't love her. Diana was so heartbroken, she told her sisters she couldn't go through with it, but they convinced her it was too late to back out. After all, her face was already on the commemorative tea towels. As Diana got ready to become a princess, she did so knowing that her groom's heart really belonged to someone else. The fairy tale had a fatal flaw before it had even begun. Nothing captured the world's imagination quite like Princess Diana's wedding dress. It was more than just a dress. It was a symbol of the fairy tale itself, a giant cloud of ivory silk, antique lace, and pure romance. Designed by the relatively unknown husband and wife duo, David and Elizabeth Emanuel, it was destined to become one of the most famous gowns in history. But the story behind it is one of intense secrecy, hidden symbols, and a private struggle that was literally woven into its seams. Secret 1. The Deborah Deception. Keeping the dress a secret was a mission in itself. The Toronto Star called it the most closely guarded secret in fashion history. The Emanuel's London studio was on total lockdown. The windows were blacked out, and security guards were hired to protect the building from reporters desperate for a scoop. The designers even started throwing out misleading scraps of fabric in different colors to throw the press off their trail. To add another layer of security, Diana was given a code name for her appointments. When the future princess came for a fitting, she wasn't Lady Diana. She was just Deborah. Secret 2. The Phantom Gowns. The designers were so paranoid about a leak that they actually created 3 different dresses. There was the iconic one the world saw, of course, but they also designed a backup dress, a complete secret even from Diana. Elizabeth Emanuel said it was for their own peace of mind, just in case the original design was revealed early. This spare dress was simpler, with a deeper V-neck and no lace, but it was never completely finished. A third version, an exact replica, was also made for display at Madame Tussauds. Secret 3. The Hidden Talismans. Woven into the famous dress were several hidden good luck charms. For her something old, the gown included antique lace that once belonged to Queen Mary. For something blue, a tiny blue bow was sewn into the waistband. But the most charming secret was a tiny 18-karat gold horseshoe studded with white diamonds that was stitched into the petticoats for good luck. These little details turned the grand public spectacle of the dress into something deeply personal. Secret 4. The Incredible Shrinking Bride. Maybe the most heartbreaking secret about the dress is what it revealed about Diana's emotional state. In the months between her engagement and the wedding, Diana was battling bulimia, brought on by intense stress, and her weight plummeted. According to the Emanuels, when she started her fittings, she had a 26 or 27-inch waist. By the wedding day, it had shrunk down to just 23 inches. The designers had to make 5 different bodices to keep up with her changing figure. The weight loss was so dramatic that on the morning of the wedding, last-minute alterations were needed to make sure the gown fit perfectly. This secret, hidden under 10,000 pearls and sequins, was a silent sign of the immense pressure and private suffering of the young woman at the center of it all. The world saw a princess in a magnificent gown. The reality was a vulnerable bride whose inner turmoil was physically reshaping her. With Diana finally in her gown, the journey to St. Paul's Cathedral began. The beautiful glass coach arrived to take her and her father through the cheering crowds. This was the moment the fairy tale was supposed to kick into high gear, but even this short ride was hit with problems. Secret 5. The Perfume Catastrophe. Just moments before leaving for the church, Diana had a very human little disaster. As a final touch, she went to dab on some of her favorite perfume, Quelques Fleurs. But in her nervousness, the bottle tipped, and she spilled it right down the front of her priceless dress, leaving a noticeable stain. Her makeup artist, Barbara Daly, thought fast. She told Diana to just cover the spot with her hand as if she were lifting her skirt to keep from tripping on it. If you look closely at photos from the day, you can often see Diana's left hand strategically placed over the front of her gown. She wasn't just holding her bouquet, she was hiding a secret stain from the world. Secret 6. The Great Crease Crisis. The dress's most famous feature was its record-breaking 25-foot train. It was designed to be dramatic, but no one had really thought about the tiny size of the glass coach. Getting Diana, her father, and all that fabric into the carriage was a real struggle. The train and the veil got completely crushed and wrinkled during the ride. When Diana stepped out at St. Paul's, the world saw the gown for the first time, wrinkles and all. Designer Elizabeth Emanuel, watching on TV, said she was horrified. "I remember my heart sank. I thought, oh my God, we're going to get blamed for this." While the bridesmaids tried to smooth it out, the creases remained a small but obvious imperfection. A reminder that even fairy tales can get a little rumpled along the way. Inside St. Paul's Cathedral, the ceremony unfolded with all the expected pomp and circumstance. But when it came time for the vows, the immense pressure on the young couple became obvious, leading to a few verbal stumbles and one very deliberate headline-making choice. Secret 7. The Jumbled Royal Name. Standing in front of the Archbishop of Canterbury and that massive global audience, Diana's nerves got the best of her. When she tried to say her groom's full name, she mixed it up, promising to take Philip Charles Arthur George instead of Charles Philip Arthur George. It was an endearing slip-up that just made her seem more human to the millions of people watching. Secret 8. Charles's own stumble. What most people forget is that Diana wasn't the only one who messed up. Prince Charles had his own little flub. When it was his turn, instead of pledging all my worldly goods to Diana, he offered her thy goods. It was a minor mistake, quickly corrected and mostly forgotten, but it was another little crack in the polished royal facade. For a moment, they weren't royals. They were just a nervous couple at the altar. Secret 9. The missing word that caused a sensation. While the name mix-up was an accident, another change to the vows was completely intentional and caused a huge stir. In a major break from royal tradition, Diana did not promise to obey her husband. Leaving that one word out was a joint decision made by Charles and Diana. At the time, it was a shockingly modern move. Diana was the first royal bride to do it, and it was seen as a quiet but firm statement of independence. Looking back, it feels like an early sign of the kind of modern Princess Diana would become. One who wasn't always going to follow the monarchy's rigid rules. While most cameras focused on the big formal moments, a few candid photos from the day give us a more intimate look behind the scenes. These secrets reveal the real, unscripted emotions happening away from the crowds. Secret 10. The Weeping Bridesmaid. One of the most telling photos from the day shows Diana not just as a bride, but as the caring former nursery teacher she was. Her youngest bridesmaid, 5-year-old Clementine Hambro, got overwhelmed by the noise and the crowds and started to cry. In a moment of pure compassion, Diana bent down to comfort the little girl. This gentle, maternal moment, happening in the middle of her own incredibly stressful day, perfectly captured the warmth that would later define her as the People's Princess. Secret 11. The Queen's private broadcast. Even the Queen was caught in a rare, informal moment. A candid photo taken from inside Buckingham Palace shows Queen Elizabeth II watching the wedding procession on a small, portable TV. It's a fascinating and humanizing image. While the world watched her son's wedding as a massive state occasion, this photo shows a mother taking a private moment to watch the events unfold, just like millions of her subjects. Secret 12. The secret of the shoes. Hidden underneath that enormous dress were Diana's wedding shoes, a masterpiece of secret sentimentality. Since she was 5'10", the same height as Charles, Diana requested very low-heeled slippers so she wouldn't tower over him. Cobbler Clive Shilton spent 6 months crafting them from ivory silk, decorated with hundreds of sequins and pearls, but the most romantic detail was painted on the suede soles. On the arches of the shoes were the initials C and D, connected by a little heart. This secret declaration of love, literally walked upon as she made her way to the altar, was a hopeful, private gesture on a day filled with public spectacle and private pain. If you found these hidden stories from the royal wedding as fascinating as we did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories from behind the palace walls. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these secrets surprised you the most? When we look back at July 29, 1981, it's easy to get swept up in the romance of it all. The wedding of Charles and Diana is still a powerful cultural event, the one all other royal weddings are compared to. It was, as the Archbishop of Canterbury said at the time, the stuff of which fairy tales are made. But as we've seen, the fairy tale was far from perfect. The day was really a complex mix of deep personal pain, last-minute panic, human error, and quiet acts of rebellion. The discovery of the bracelet, the shocking weight loss, the perfume spill, the wrinkled gown, and the flubbed vows. These secrets don't take away from the spectacle of the day. If anything, they make the story richer, more tragic, and much more human. These hidden moments show the unbelievable pressure put on a very young woman stepping onto the world's biggest stage. They show us not just a perfect princess, but a person dealing with fear, heartbreak, and impossible expectations. The wedding wasn't just the start of a public life. It was a day that perfectly captured the conflict that would define Diana's story, the constant war between a flawless public image and a turbulent private reality. The fairy tale was beautiful, but the secrets are what make it truly unforgettable.